Okay. Mhm. All right. Okay. 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 I'm going to be running us through quickly the overview of the ministry and the Southwest Zonal Office. Um, the ministry, sorry, I'm trying to minimize. Okay. The ministry is one of the oldest ministries. Of course, it was a department in 1932, the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, which used to be the Federal Ministry of Labor and Productivity. Was a department in 1932, but became a full-fledged ministry in 1942. And we get our core mandate from the second schedule of the exclusive list of the Constitution. What that simply means is that we are regulators of employment services and labor administration. Even though we have so many people involved in labor administration in terms of creating employment services or vacancies or things in that nature, we actually are the ministry that, okay, someone is trying to share their screen too. Okay, we're actually the ministry. Please, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, but we can no longer say it. We used to say for now.
Okay, you can no longer see it.
Yes.
Okay, 1 minute, please. Okay, I need to reshare. Okay,
Yeah, we can see it now.
so you can see it now. Okay. Okay, so the ministry was a department, like I said, in 1932, as opposed to what we have on Google in that it was a department in 1939, and we're on the second schedule of the exclusive list of the Parliament of the Constitution. We are exclusive regulators of employment services and labor administration. What that means is that we have other people implementing employment-related services or labor administration, but in terms of the regulation of those activities, we are the ministry that is exclusively mandated to regulate employment services, even though a lot of other pockets of organizations can implement them in different rights. So we're situated in the 36 states in Nigeria. Even though in 2013, because of the need to decentralize labor administration and make it have a wider reach to our stakeholders, the ministry had 6 zonal offices in the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. And so our office is the office in the Southwest Zone, of course, covering for Lagos, Ogun, Ekiti, Oyo, Ondo, and Osun, the 6 states in the Southwest Zone. Our motto as a ministry is to ensure decent work for safety and safety for all Nigerians. And we know that safety is very important for everyone in the workplace. Decent work is also human dignity and productivity as it relates to work. So we have the Abuja office, which is the headquarters, and then we have the zonal offices, and then we now go to have the 36 offices in the state. So that's how the hierarchy of activities also flow. The zonal office supervises, is a supervisory office for the state office, and then the headquarters also supervises the zonal offices in different rights. We have 2 broad categories of departments. We have the administrative departments and the professional departments. So depending on how you come into the ministry in terms of what your background is like, they would be posting you to these different departments in terms of your skill and competence and your years of experience on the other jobs that you might have gotten before you came into the ministry. And so we have human resource, which is the administrative department. Of course, that is the department that's in charge of entry to exit of everyone in the ministry as it relates to welfare, promotion, and things of that nature. We have accounts and finance. They are our money people. They manage everything that has to do with money when it comes to staff and the ministry as a whole. We have the procurement department. That department is the department that is in charge of purchasing and supplies of everything that is needed in the ministry. We also have the reform coordination department. That department just ensures that there is check and balance and that everything that we're doing actually goes in line with standards and best practice. We have the department that is called policy analysis and research. That department is in charge of everything about planning, statistics, research, learning and development. We have the audit of the ministry. They audit everything internally as it relates to the ministry. And then we have general services and special duties, which is maintenance, repairs, and things of that nature. Special duties are people that can be called up for technical support at different times, as the case might be. So all officers in the Ministry of Labor are all labor inspectors, irrespective of their department. We're all called labor inspectors. And the reason is because we all implement the extant laws, even though we might be implementing it in different departments or as it relates to different jurisdictions, but we all implement the extant laws and the labor laws and international labor standards and best practices in the workplace. We have a professional department. Our professional departments are inspectorates. That is the department in charge of everything that has to do with inspection, right? And like I said, everyone in the ministry is a labor inspector, whether you're a cooperative, whether you're a health and safety officer, whether you're a labor officer, we're all called labor inspectors because we are all using the extant laws to implement best practice in the workplace. We have the TUSA, we call it TUSA, it's Trade Union Service and Industrial Relations. This department is a department that interfaces with all the unions in terms of registering the unions, reviewing their processes, CBAs, NDICs, and every issue that has to do with unions is actually regulated by this department. We have the Employment and Wages Department. That department is in charge of employment exchange. That's where we have the NELEX, that's where we have Migrant Resource Center. So everything that has to do with exchange of vacancies and employment is actually done by this department. Then we have the productivity measurement and labor standards. These people actually look at standards, but especially as it relates to productivity in the workplace. We have social securities and corporate development. This department actually is both cooperative and social security. So they have to do with, they manage compensations, they manage things around social security as it has to do with retirement, injuries, work hazards, and things of that nature. Then, of course, we have OSH, Occupational Safety and Health. This department has to do with everything about occupational safety and health, mental health, safety nuggets, protective equipment, maintaining health standards, and everything in that right. Then we have the skill development and certification. This department has to do with skill acquisition, certification, review, and everything. It is a department that is in charge of giving artisans the trade test certificate, and they deal with everything that has to do with skills. Then we have units. They are not full-fledged departments, but they're also units, and they are legal, press, and audit. So these three units are very core to the ministry as well, and that's why we have them here. So every department here, whether professional or administrative, is fully represented in the zonal offices in the 6 geopolitical zones. So what that means is that a zonal office would have every department in the zonal office, because that's how we are able to supervise what is happening in the states, and that's how we're also able to relate to the headquarters. So the zonal office has the capacity and the mandate to carry out the functions of all departments. Every department here whether administrative or professional, is under labor administration as a core mandate. And so in the headquarters, you have these different departments in different offices, but in the zonal office, every department is represented in the zonal office, and that's the broad spectrum of the zonal office. So the zonal office is, for the Southwest, is simply the office in charge of, like I said, Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Oshun, Ondo, and Ekiti. Was established in 2013, and the goal of this office is to bring all the stakeholders in the Southwest closer to the mandate of the ministry. So collaboration is very key, and we know that government cannot do the things that they do alone, and that's why we need stakeholders in different sectors and different industries to make the workplace what we really want it to be. And the workplace has gone beyond the four walls of a building. It has now gone to the informal sector. It has gone to what work is, and not just a building, right? So the world of work is really changing. The future of work is here now. And so we need collaboration to consistently make this world of work in line with our international labor standards, our labor laws, and also the best practice in the workplace. And so our target audience is everybody in simple terms, but we'll just say individuals and all providers of labor. So individuals would be people living with disabilities, the vulnerable, students, youths, women and children, labor migrants. And then when we talk about providers of labor, we're talking about the core people that have to do with labor or the workforce, and that's employees, stakeholders, social partners, communities, and employers. And so that's the overview of the target audience. And like I said, labor is life, labor is everybody. As long as you're going to have an economic exchange of your service for remuneration at any point, or you're going to be going into any trade or any business, you're going to interface with labor and economic conversations. And so our target audience is everybody. Our complaint process. So because the goals of employees and employers are not the same all the time, and there sometimes we have, or most times we have unfair labor practice. We actually get a lot of labor complaints as to different kinds of unfair labor practice. And when we get those complaints, we receive them, first of all. That's the first thing we do. Then we file those complaints. We actually filed that for documentation purpose, because a complaint can go as long as 4 years, sometimes 5 years. So we need to file them to be able to keep record of those complaints. Then we assign them to an officer. Now, in assigning to an officer, we also need to be sure that we are doing that strategically, so that we're matching the complaint and the expertise of the officer. So what that would mean is that if we have a health related complaint or a safety related complaint, we would most likely want to send that to an OSH officer, so that that person has the competence to look at the case and weigh in and give his labor advisory in a way that is going to achieve results. And so what might cause a bit of delay here is if the labor officer or the labor inspector or the exact officer we want to handle these cases currently handle multiple cases, then we'll put the complaint in a queue for that person to handle, even though we make exceptions for cases that have urgency in as a note in them, or cases that are urgent. But we like to assign strategically so that that case is able to get the best results that we want it to get. And so we embark on investigation because we are mandated by the labor laws to investigate the cases. We either call for meetings or go to the scenario where it has happened, check out the office, or try to talk to the employees or the employers separately. In trying to do this, we're trying to get background information as to what really happened, and also expand the issues into other things that are likely to happen, not just the exact labor complaint that was received. So the investigation here becomes very wholesome, because it can either be a knowledge problem or a compliance problem. Whichever one that it is, in the course of investigation, we would know how the unfair labor practice happened, what has been happening, the history of that organization, and what is likely to happen in that same organization, right? And so here we have interviews, we have direct meetings, we speak to parties separately, and that's the reason why it might take some time when you will get a labor complaint. Is because we are trying to nip everything in the bud and be sure that we have enough information to have a position on the issue. And so when the issue becomes a full-blown industrial relations, of course, that's where all parties are called to the table. And if an issue is in court, we wait out the issue until the issue is out of court before we weigh in. We don't actually attend to issues that are in court, right? And so if it needs a monitoring and evaluation, if it needs to speak to all parties, we do all these things, and then we are able to come up with a report on the issue or the unfair labor practice. How everyone, because this is everyone to me, how everyone can engage the ministry effectively. The first thing that we would like to say is understanding the roles of the ministry. And I'm very glad that we're doing this. That's one of the ways that people can understand what the ministry really does. If you understand the role of the ministry, you can know the process that different things would go through before you're able to get results or get to the end point. So the ministry, like I said, it has the headquarters, it has the zonal office, it has the state offices, and everything has hierarchy and reporting mechanism. And so it's important that you know the different mandates. Mr. Kingsley is going to come and talk about that, the different mandates of the ministry and the role the ministry plays in different scenarios. The ministry is not a union, we're not a union, we're not the NLC, we're not the TUC. We are a ministry backed up by the Act of Parliament to regulate employment services and labor administration. The inspection process for us is also very important because that's our major feedback process and knowledge sharing process. We use that to ascertain the specific needs that are in the workplace, and we also use that to talk to the employers and the employees directly and get feedback and also give feedback as the case might be. So that is an important part of engaging the ministry. And we have different types of inspection. We have the recruiter's license inspection, we have the routine inspection, follow-up inspection, factory inspection, labor inspection, cooperative inspection, social security inspection, and the likes. We have direct conversations. There are things that we actually we're an open office, headquartered in Ikoyi, Cardinal Olubunmi Okoje Road. Anyone can walk into the office and have a direct conversation with the zonal office. All right. We also have anonymous reporting. We have a box in the office where you can drop your reports if you want to be anonymous or not, and then we'll take those reports and work on them. We also have communication channels. We have social media pages. We have a WhatsApp line. Those channels are channels where we have reported or things have been reported through those channels that have been taken up as much as a paper labor complaint. In fact, sometimes when we see some issues ourselves, we don't wait for it to become a complaint. We actually take those issues up and visit those organizations and try to nip things in the bud before it becomes escalated. We would also like to be in joint info sessions and advocacies. So, for example, Ellen is organizing something and they invite the ministry to be part of it so that maybe for 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, we can talk about what the ministry does and how it aligns with the mandate of Ellen. That way, we are having joint info sessions and advocacies. We're also very open to collaborations in different rights. All right, key challenges and opportunities. For us, it's funding. The things that look good on paper when it comes to funding is different from what is actually budgeted or what is actually sent in terms of budget. So, but how we walk past this is to partner with a lot of organizations in technical capacities to leverage on their existing resources to still make things work, because we're aware that the workplace must still adhere to best practice irrespective of whether funding is low or it can be enhanced. But funding can be better, right? Funding can be better. Lack of trust. A lot of people still don't trust the government, and that's a Nigerian problem. But we are also very open to people knowing us, so that the more you know the ministry, the more you are able to trust the process and also collaborate. Because every industry or every organization has their own mandate, and so their mandate must also align with that of the ministry so that collaboration becomes easier, right? Access to people. We are still in 2025 and we have labor complaints, and then we go to organizations and we are shut out of those organizations. People don't allow us get into organizations because somewhere in their mind, or they know they're having unfair labor practice. They don't want us in, even though sometimes we get past our ways, we involve the police, involve law enforcement agencies and get in. But the access to people and organizations can be better, of course, if they trust us better. So that's a major challenge for us. The ministry is evolving and would like more people to be open to receiving the ministry and collaborating with the ministry in terms of its mandate. And we know that, yes, we can do better with awareness, even though we're also aware that the more collaborations we have, the more awareness and reach that we're able to get for the ministry. So I'll be stopping here. Thank you very much. I'm aware that we might take questions at the end of the 3 sub-sessions, so I'll still stick around for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Queen, for the excellent presentation. It's really good that you walk us through the organizational structure of the labor ministry. You've also taken your time to emphasize on the counseling procedure, how citizens, stakeholders can engage the ministry. You mentioned that the ministry is very open. You have channels of communication, you have channels of engagement, and that the ministry is equally proactive. I'm very sure our listeners, our members are, scribbling down their questions, which we believe you hope to get to answer. So without wasting much of our time, we will move to the next speaker in person of Mr. Kingsley Uwaoma. Mr. Kingsley, are you here? Hello, Mr. Kingsley, are you here? Or can anyone hear me? Just to be sure that just to be sure. Okay.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, I don't know if Mr. Kingsley Uwaoma is on the call.
All right, Mr. Festus, I might have to start off his session while he joins in. His network is really poor.
Is he able to join with another?
He has been trying to. He was here a while ago. He just got disconnected while I was wrapping up my session.
Oh, wow. Are you able to reach out to him or something?
Yes, I'm doing that already.
Very sorry. It's okay. Mr. David and Mr. Inla. Sorry, I think my face is now on the screen. Thank you very much for joining us. So we are waiting for Mr. Kingsley. He's having issues with joining the conversation. He's having issues with the network. Mr. Kingsley will be essentially introducing us to labor administration in the ministry. We will be talking about issues relating to skill acquisition and certification, training in the labor ministry, issues around occupational health and safety, evaluation and monitoring, and issues of industrial relations, which is a very common issue. So we hope he joins us in the shortest possible time.
I think he needs someone to admit him. I don't know if he's trying to join in.
He's trying to join.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Okay, he's here now. He's here now.
Okay, Mr. Kingsley.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Mr. Kingsley, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Festus.
Over about 93 of us have been waiting for you patiently to listen carefully to your presentation. Thankfully, you are here.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry.
Are we good to go?
I think I'm good to go. Let me share my screen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Yes. Please, can you host help me allow me to share screen?
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
Yes, because no, the host has disabled my screen sharing.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I hope that is resolved now. I'm able to reach out on the back end. Yeah. In any case, you may want to proceed.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
So good morning, guys. Good afternoon. My name is Kingsley, and I'm a chief inspector of factory, and I work with the Federal Ministry of Labor. One of my major work schedule is to talk about occupational safety and health and how it relates to decent work. Of course, we all understand that in everything that has to do with work, it's about decent work. So, Ministry of Labor, our target in all of these things is to make sure that every organization keep recruiting, keep employing Nigerians, and keep being in business. So whatever we do, whatever we can do to make sure that that happens is what we do. So when we talk about labor administration, we try to educate both employees and employers.
I'm sharing now, sir.
Okay, thank you. So one of the things we talk about is we try to educate them on their rights, the things they need to do, their own role as employer, roles as an employee, and how they can effectively work together as a team to grow their organization. For us, it's about employment of people are gainfully employed. So I'm going to look at skill acquisition and certification, because a lot of people don't even know some of the things that Ministry of Labor do. Queen has to highlight some of our departments, but in those departments, those little things that do that contribute to labor administration, to contribute to effective labor administration. So I'm looking at training and labor education, occupational health and safety, monitoring and evaluation, industrial relation, employment services, labor migration, social security, employee work-life and mental health, and of advocacy and sensitization, child protection, protection. So while Queen was having her session, somebody asked if we have legal team, but they are not professional officers. Well, we have a legal department. They are not professional officers. They are officers from the Federal Ministry of Justice who sent to the ministry and is being led by a director of legal. So they are not core labor officers, but they are lawyers who work in the ministry but sent from the Ministry of Justice from Abuja. We don't have it in any state or zones. Most of our legal guys are all domiciled in Abuja. Thank you. So labor administration is the backbone of a productive and equitable economy. In Nigeria, Ministry of Labour and Employment is the central body responsible for formulating and, of course, implementing national labour policies. Its core mission is to promote decent work, ensure social justice, stimulate employment generation, and maintain harmonious industrial peace. It acts as a crucial link between the government, employees, and workers, ensuring the nation's workforce is protected, empowered, and productive. So what exactly is labor administration? It's a framework where working conditions and other key factors in the workplace is aligned with the labor standards of both the organization and the international standard. Because we expect that every organization will have their own standard. And we also advise, when we talk to organizations, we let them understand that their standard should be at par with international best practice, no matter how difficult running a business is. But it's also important for them to know some of those key things that will keep them afloat as business. Nobody wants to lose man hours due to issues with workers, worker restiveness, and union issues. So we use Labor Act tools, convention, principle, declaration, and policies to ensure that the world of work continually adapt to dynamic environment and global best practice. Now, the difference between us here as labor officers and the lawyers is that lawyers look at the facts, they go to court, everybody pleads the case based on the fact they have. In the Ministry of Labour, we look beyond the fact. We look at the human elements that surround this particular case. Once there is industrial issue, accident, even if the facts are there that a particular employee is wrong, but beyond that fact, what can you do to cushion the effects of what the law says on those workers? So we look at both the facts and also look at using human element to judge our cases. That's different between the lawyers and what we do in labor. So sometimes when the company lawyers come, we try to educate them on some of these things that, yes, we know these are what the law says, these are what the rule says, but how can you be able to manage this and look at the human aspect and be able to help them so that it becomes a win-win for everybody. So one of the things we do in Ministry of Labour is skill acquisition and certification. This function addresses the critical skill gap in the economy. The ministry, through its skill development certification, is what we call a trade test. In the last 3 or 4 years, our trade test has become very rampant because a lot of people who have been trying to jack need those certificates to be able to get a start off when they get to anywhere they want to go. So everywhere in the world. So it equips Nigerians with vocational components is the standardized certification, where we look at curriculums of every vocational institute. Luckily for us, in Lagos, for instance, the Lagos government has a lot of them. So we just support them at the background by helping them understand how to get better, improve on their curriculum, so it aligns with both international standard and our local needs. So every of our curriculum that we develop through our skill development center is aligned with what each organization's needs. So organizations come to us and ask us that they want to do this, they want certain skills. So we talk to those vocational centers that these are the skills that these organizations need. People talk about how Nigerians are not employable. But in Ministry of Labour, we look beyond Nigerians not employable. We ask that we educate employers to understand that it's not as if people are not employable. Are we also creating the right skill set for those people? Are we also trying to look at what they want to do? Are we trying in our best position as employee to understand that some of our staff has key skills? How can we integrate it into our daily functions? Because in Ministry of Labour, we don't think anybody is unemployable. It's almost impossible. Training and labor education. So beyond skills, the ministry focuses on continuous teaming awareness. This involves training for workers on their rights and responsibilities for employers and best practice in labor management. This particular labor education training is not only for the workers, both the junior and staff workers, but basically for the employers to be able to understand the mindset of those employees they have. It also includes building the capacity of all stakeholders, hence fostering a more informed and cooperative labor ecosystem. Every workplace has different dynamics, different people. There are occupational safety and health, there are welfare, there are salary issues, there are different challenges. How do you work around those ecosystems? Make sure that at every time you are giving what we call fair labor practice each time. So we also look at optional health and safety. In Nigeria, we call it most organizations call it health and safety, HSC. But for federal government, we call it optional health and safety because for us, it is occupational. That's where the hazards are inherent. How do we assess the risk? How do we understand the risk involved in each organization? So this department also does what we call factory registration. I don't know if a lot of us here are lawyers within organizations. For every factory to be able to run in Nigeria, no matter how small, that's what we call the Factories Act. Ministry of Labor empowers officers to register each of those factories using the Factories Act. Factories Act is the only thing that empowers any factory to run in Nigeria, both manufacturing, both packaging, both assembly, both mechanical. As long as you are a factory, according to the Factories Act, I'm sure a lot of you will know what the Factories Act is. So this department helps to make sure that what do they do? They look at the safety aspects of those warehouses, of those manufacturing outfits. They go there, there are a lot of conditions that warrant you to open a factory in Nigeria. So the labor officers that come, they want to check those parameters. What are the distance between a machine to a human being? Are there adequate toilets per person or per group of person? The law says one toilet for like 12 people. Do we have all those things in place? What are there easy ways of access from fire issue? Are there exits? What are there marked places for goods and services and stuff like those are the things that occupational safety and health to look at for. We also do monitoring and evaluation. Here we want to ensure effectiveness. The ministry continuously monitor and evaluate its policies and programs. Of course, some of us call it inspection. For me, it's beyond inspection. It's not about coming with a sledgehammer. We're trying to monitor and help you to also evaluate some of the things you're not doing right. The key purpose of monitoring and evaluation is to have a conversation and let you also know if the laws are changing, if there are new laws, if companies' handbooks are also outdated, how they can improve and be able to do better. And this involves inspecting workplaces for compliance with labor standards, collecting and analyzing employment data, looking at assessing the impact of initiatives that the organizations and the government also doing, job creation. Also, looking at the policies that government is bringing out. How effective is it within the organization? How are employers managing to comply with those policies, and how the policies are also helping them to stay afloat? Government don't want to bring out policies that are going to ruin organizations. Rather, so most of our policies is geared towards helping you to stay afloat. So the data-driven approach is vital for evidence-based policy making and strategy planning. So when an inspector comes to a basic organization, what he wants to know is what are the number of staff you have, what are your salary scale, are you compliant with the minimum wage act, are they well taken care of? The safety aspect of the job they do, is it everybody's concern? Is management fully involved in safety? Because we also understand that once management is cutting costs, the first place they cut is health and safety. So those are the things we look at for and help us to manage our situation. So industrial relation, of course, everybody understands industrial relation is our core meeting, is the core of maintaining industrial peace. The ministry mandate the dispute between mediates in disputes between employers and employees, of course, union, to prevent strikes and lockouts. It promotes social dialogue, collective bargaining, and conflict resolution mechanism. In one will educate employers on industrial relation. One of the key things we look out for is how they manage their staff. Whether you have a union or not is not important to Ministry of Labor. Everybody has the right to join union or not to join. But for us, whether there's a union or not, are there dispute resolution mechanism within your organization? Because we have so much industrial relation job that sometimes we figure that a lot of organizations don't even have their own internal mechanism. Are there whistleblowing policies? Are there policies that anonymous reports where people can come and make reports, and then the line managers or whoever is in charge, or the HR or the lawyers or the legal team look at it before it gets to Ministry of Labor. So industrial relation for us is very key. It's the core of our mandate. It's what we like to do. But we also want to educate people on putting up their own dispute resolution mechanism in every organization. So employment services. The ministry acts as a national employment exchange through the National Employment Council. It links job seekers with employers. It also facilitates job fairs, career counseling, and maintains a database of vacancies and candidates. A major focus is creating initiatives to tackle youth unemployment, such as targeting public works program. So we have what we call National Electronic Labor Exchange. It's a platform where every Nigeria has access to for both job seekers, for employers, and for international organizations. There you go and submit your vacancies, and then young Nigerians, those who want to change jobs, those who are looking for a job, will go there and look at the new job offers that have been placed on those platforms. So it is called National Electronics Labor Exchange, www.nels.gov.ng. So we also do labor migration. Ministry of Labor is the lead agency on labor migration. Why are people traveling? The essence of traveling in the first place is because people are looking for greener pastures, are looking for things that they don't have over here. So we have a lot of bilateral agreement with a lot of companies on how to treat Nigerians. So part of our mandate in the ministry is to make sure that everybody travels right. Migration is everybody's right. But how if you get there, are you going to become legal or not? Data has shown that a lot of Nigerians travel legally or travel right, but when they get there, they become irregular. So in the course of our conversation, because of our training, because of our education, we'd like people to know that migration is your right, but travel right. We collaborate with a lot of, mostly here, we have a lot of CSOs and NGOs who are labor migration experts who see this issue. In fact, we also work with NAPTIP if we know what NAPTIP is. So with men on seeking opportunities abroad, the ministry regulates and protects migrant workers. So we also protect foreigners who come here to work, irrespective of how we get to Nigeria. Our duty here is not to judge, it's to make sure that your stay in Nigeria is very peaceful and you do all the legal things right. So people come to us with their challenges. We have partners in immigration, in custom, so we send those issues to them. So labor migration is one of the key things we do under Ministry of Labor, under department called Employment and Wages Department. Social security. Social security here, we look at ministry advocates for and help administer social security schemes to protect workers against life's contingencies such as old age. Queen earlier spoke about NSITF. NSITF is an offshoot of our Social Security Department, where they look at Employee Compensation Act, how people are well managed, how situation, when it arrives, how are these things properly managed. So the ministry does so much on social security that I don't have enough time to talk about one of the things we do. In the research, we're supposed to having one of the things we also want to intend to do is taking over the cooperative society from the Ministry of Agriculture, because it's under the Social Security Department in the Ministry of Labor. But that's a story for another day. So employee work life and mental health. this is our new work. These are our new world of work. You see young people who work now who will call in and tell the organization that my boyfriend is sick, I have to take care of him, I can't come to work. How are we managing those situations? Are we creating crutches for mothers to breastfeed their children at work? Are we creating enough out of work activities for employers to be able to manage their work life and mental health? It's a new topic in the Ministry of Labor that we're trying to create. How can we synergize with organizations to create scenes and avenue where people work life and mental health is highlighted each time? The modern focus area is on the overall well-being of the workers. The ministry promotes policies that encourages a healthy balance between professionals and personal life. It is increasingly advocating for mental health awarenesses in the workplace, recognizing that psychological well-being is just as critical as physical well-being, physical safety for productivity and positive work environment. In none of this, one keyword is work productivity. We want every Nigerian workers to be able to be productive, to give 110% of themselves in any capacity, irrespective of the kind of job you do. So we educate workers, educate employers on the need to create these avenues for work-life balance and mental health, and create off-work activities to encourage this within the organization. These are what we talk about when we train people on mental health and work-life balance. So we also do advocacies and sensitization. We go to local government, talk about the things they need to do, tell them about what we do when we have new skills, when we have social partners who are trying to curate opportunities or start a training school. We go through those advocacy sensitization and talk to them. Most time, in the last 3 years, we have done a lot of advocacy within local government, at least in Lagos and Ogun State. We've done so much, and there's so much data and results that have has come out of these advocacies. The ministry drive nationwide campaign to educate the public on labor rights, such as minimum wage, the dangers of child labor, and the importance of formalizing employment. Work has changed. There are a lot of people who work remotely. A lot of us work remotely these days. And a lot of people don't understand their basic rights on the amount of hours they put in when they work remotely. Remote work in Nigeria is not well defined yet, because half of the time you are working remotely, but you're not even conscious of the time. You're spending your data, you're spending your hours, you're spending more than regular hours you're using. So we try to educate people and sensitize them on their rights, on making sure that when they are signing their employment contract, some of these things are highlighted in their contract of employment, with whether it's within Nigeria or outside Nigeria. So we also do child protection, what form of child labor. Child labor is very important for Ministry of Labor. It's domiciled in our ministry. We have what we call the child labor department, who looks at, when we go for inspection within organizations, we look at if these organizations do they have underage workers, are they aware of the difference between child work and child labor? Most people misunderstand this difference. They think child labor is the same thing as child work. No, it's not. Child work is far different from child labor. Child labor is, we're talking about people who are underage, who are not able to go to school, who are used to do strenuous work that are beyond them. So it's part of the critical areas that Ministry of Labor has started enforcing now, both in negotiation and now. So this conversation is a continuous conversation. So we're going to have more series on some of these issues, and we know that I can't exhaust everything we need to talk about in one series. So thank you for listening, and thank you for this opportunity you are giving us, Ellen, to educate people on some of the things Ministry of Labor do. Thank you, Festus. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Kingsley. I was asking on my camera. So thank you very much, Kingsley, for that eye-opening presentation. You've taken us again through the workings of the ministry and the important work that the Ministry of Labor is doing. We really appreciate that, and it was indeed eye-opening. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. So without wasting much of our time, we'll be calling on our keynote speaker. As you are aware, there's an African program that says that the biggest man reaches from the net. So that's about another as I come on Mrs. Nenyi Badejo. So we have a presentation on this. Framework underpinning the role of the Ministry of Labor. Thank you very much. Badejo, please confirm you are on the call.
Ms. Badejo is currently having a meeting with NECA on cultural employment dialogue to threaten workforce integration. So I'll try and call out, join as quickly as possible. Let me boss to join us now. Please give me a minute, please.
Okay. So while we are waiting for Mrs. Badejo, I will enjoy our listeners and our members to start scribbling down their questions. I know we've heard a lot from the horse's mouth. You heard the excellent presentation from Queen Ogbonna, and you also heard from Kingsley Uwahoma, both of the Federal Ministry of Labor. They've taken a dive into the workings of the Ministry of Labor, particularly in the southwest zone of Nigeria. They've taken us through their structure. They've taken us through how they work, the administration, the different departments, the complaints procedure, and the regulatory oversight with which the ministry achieves statutory objectives. They've taken us through all of this. They've taken us through the complaint procedure, how they make intervention, how everyone who works in the labor ministry, the labor officer, as it were. So we've heard a lot, and I'm very sure we have questions. I also have questions for our speakers, really. So while we are waiting for Mrs. Badejo, I would enjoy us to put down our questions, write them down, or send them to me privately so that I can prioritize them down when it's the time for question and answer. I know we have a lot of questions, right? So I want us to take notes of our questions. You can send them to me privately while I read them out with the order of priority. I'm also here. Mr. Keston Chiba, is she able to join us?
No, she need another 8 minutes. Maybe we should take question and answer while we wait for her.
Okay, so let's take the question while we wait for her, so as to manage our time. Let's take the questions in respect of the two speakers. In respect of the two speakers, Mrs. Ogbonna spoke on the overview of the Ministry of Labor with a focus on the Southwest Zone, and Mr. Kingsley Uwahoma spoke on the labor administration in Nigeria. They've spoken excellently, they made their position. I am very confident that there are questions that our listeners, our audience, intend to ask. So for the presentation, I'm very confident that Mr. Kingsley and Ms. Queen will be happy to share their slides with us so that we can share with our members. So, Mrs. Ogbonna, are you on the call? Hello, Mrs. Ogbonna, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I'm with you.
Yeah, so there is a question directed to you.
All right.
Says good afternoon, Mrs. Queen Ubona. Please, I have a question. I have the following questions regarding the jurisdictional scope of the trade union in the aviation sector and how the trade union act applies to them. So this sounds like a legal question. I don't know if Mrs. Queen is a lawyer. I need you to
No,
clarify
I'm not.
the
I'm a legal
following
administrator.
regarding the what category of worker does here navigation acquisition of professional course, professional cover. Is it junior staff or senior staff? Does navigation association of professional include a broad range of personnel? This appears to be quite out of the scope of our presentation, but we'll see how we can attend to that question maybe after the call or after the webinar. So, a question from Mr. David, who had requested that I put on my camera. He said it is shocking to hear that labor inspectors are denied access or experience frustration accessing certain employers' premises to investigate complaints. If the government is challenged, what will be the loss of private individuals, especially researchers, desirous of visiting the field? Is this also a Nigerian problem or a complacency on the part of the Ministry of Labor and Employment and Productivity? Did you get the question?
Yes, I think it was a comment. Yes, it's shocking, but that's the reality. I got the question. I got the question. It's shocking, but that's the reality. When we get a whistle blown from a company, maybe from an employee or an observer or a stakeholder, and we try to do an M&E as a ministry, sometimes the first response that we get from the employer is a denied access. And that's the reality. And like I said, we still find our way around it because we have, of course, collaborations with the law enforcement agencies. So the police in that jurisdiction is still under the mandate to go along with us where that entry is denied consistently. The police will still go with us and make things work or grant us access. So, but that's the reality. Sometimes I've been locked under the rain before. I've been locked under the rain. It was raining, I was outside, and there was no access into the building, even though we're sure that there was unfair labor practice going on. So it's a reality. Like I said, we use the law enforcement agencies and we also cascade to the headquarters where necessary and copy the minister also where necessary. But the first thing to do is to involve the law enforcement agencies in that geographical region in order to get access.
Okay. I think thank you very much for that answer. You know, one would readily ask that, you know, on a normal day, the Ministry of Labor should have some regulatory oversight over corporate and companies. But if we now have a situation where the ministry is challenged, then what should be done? What do you think should be done?
Okay, so like I said, it's.
I mean, I'm sorry. Sorry. The ministry is a regulator.
Yes.
You know, they should be able to bring these companies, these employers to book. They should be able to bring them to book. They should be able to need them in the board. But we see a situation where it appears that the ministry is also affected by the Nigerian experience. It seems that the ministry is separate.
We're a Nigerian entity.
We are not the only ministry being denied access. It will be shocking to also know that a lot of other ministries are being denied access into different places. So I don't think it's a ministry problem. I think it's a Nigerian problem. The main people that are perpetrating the unfair labor practice will deny you access into their buildings. We have jurisdiction, we have the law, we have interpretation of the law. But like I said, we usually find our way around it because labor administration, like Mr. Kingsley said, also has the human side to it. So the first side is to have a conversation to know what the problem is before we begin to talk about compliance. It can either be a knowledge issue or a compliance issue. And so we don't go with a stick or with a gun first to say, oh, we're coming to kill everybody here. No, it can just be a knowledge problem. It can be an economic problem. So that's where
Yes.
conversations are very important and collaborations are also very important.
Very well.
So we enforce compliance. We enforce compliance duly, but though is a reality that we're denied access into some kind of organizations.
Thank you very much for that. Now we have another question from Shamsuddin Abdurazak. He asks, how does the ministry work with non-profit organizations dedicated to youth employability and entrepreneurship development?
Oh, fantastic. So all NGOs and CSOs can collaborate with the ministry as it relates to the mandate. So let me give an example. So we currently have CSOs and NGOs collaborating as it relates to child protection and child labor. So like I said, the ministry is an exclusive regulator. It means that the implementation of these activities lies with the NGO, but should be regulated by the ministry in line with the law. So when those NGOs are having advocacies, when they're having info sessions, when they're having community engagement, the ministry can be part of it. The ministry can be part of the co-creation, part of the conversation,
Right.
part of their, engagement with other stakeholders. And then we can come and espouse the NGOs as to what the law says regarding the things that they are doing. So that's how the NGOs can be part of the collaboration.
Thank you for that, Queen. So we have a follow-up question on the question asked by Mr. David. So the question is, what coercive power does the ministry have with obstructive employers? If you are able to answer that.
Oh, okay. So different measures. There is lockup.
I mean, coercive power. What can the ministry do, or what has the ministry been doing to bring them to book? Or we are just saying, well, maybe we are just helpless.
No. So their entire operations can be stopped. Their entire operations can be stopped.
Has the ministry been doing that? I'm sorry.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Some people have had to. We've had to lock up some organizations, and then they would now come for a conversation. Some have even had to go to the headquarters for some conversations. So someone talked about the labor laws being obsolete. We all know the labor laws are obsolete, but where the labor laws are obsolete, you apply international labor standards, because we're signatory to the conventions, to all the standards. So while the labor law is being reviewed, the international labor standards apply to best practice. So, but yes, there are compliance measures in different categories according to the different misconduct that the organization. Yes, they are.
So just to take this last one, it appears Mrs. Badejo is on.
Mrs. Badejo is around. Can we allow her to have a session so that she can go back to her meeting, please?
Yeah, just to take this last one. Okay. So that we wrap up. You mentioned that indeed, while it appears that our labor laws are obsolete, that we have international best practices that apply. But the question asked by Mr. Madaki is that what is the ministry doing about the bills that are in the National Assembly? I mean, aside issues of international standards, aside international standards, other countries have updated laws, that are in sync with modern reality. Is there anything the ministry is doing to ensure the passage of these bills, these labor bills into law?
Let me take this question. This is where we talk about the tripartite institutions comes in here. We understand that to lobby to pass a bill in the National Assembly is a Herculean task. So that's why most times Ministry of Labour also encourage other associations, the unions, to also help lobby for these things to pass. It's not the Ministry of Labour only problem. It's our collective issue. Once these things are raised, then we'll keep pushing. It's difficult to pass a bill. Sometimes, I'll give you an example. The Safety and Health Act. While we're waiting for them to pass, we started reviewing the new one they've not passed. So it's part of it's the bane of our success in this industry. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Kings, for that answer. Can you hear me, Mrs. Badijo? Can you hear me? It appears I can't hear her.
Okay, let me.
Or can anyone hear her? Hello, Mrs. Badijo, can you hear me? What's going on?
Call. She's not on the call again.
Mr. Kingsley, what's going on?
Yes. She's trying to connect. I don't know why her network is not allowing her to connect.
Okay, it's a network. Okay, I think she's back.
I'm back.
Very well.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mrs. Badijo. Good to see you.
Can you hear me?
Good to
Yes,
have you
same
on the
here.
call. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
I'm so sorry. I have another session with on issues that pertain to labor administration. Good afternoon, everybody. I cut in where we were talking about what to do about our laws. And I think one of my colleagues has already answered, both of my colleagues have answered these questions. However, we still go through the introduction on the legal and constitutional mandates underpinning the ministry's role. And as much as we have to have it at the back end that we know for a fact that, some of them or the laws are to be amended, we are presently using the International Labour Standards to implement the laws that apply to us. So I'll just quickly go to the legal and constitutional mandates underpinning the ministry's role, which will be the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended by the second schedule of the exclusive list. Then we have the Labor Act Cap L1 Laws of the Federation 2004. We have the Nigerian Factories Act F1. We have the Trade Disputes Act T8, Trade Unions Act Cap T14, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and 5 as amended, the new Pension Reform Act, the National Minimum Wage Act 2024 as amended. Then the legal and constitutional mandates underpinning continued. With this is implemented by our parastatals under the ministry, primarily under the ministry, which will be the National Social Insurance Trust Fund, the Employee Compensation Act 2010, which took over from the Workmen's Compensation Act. All of this, this session is the first of very many sessions, and is really very welcome. I'm really, really, really excited as we get a chance, especially with Ilan, we get a chance to really understand how the workability of the ministries in connection with how Ilan can factor in. So it's not a conversation that is going to finish, and we're not going to finish all the questions today. We are still going to have a lot of engagements, both physical and virtual engagements. We have platforms where we can actually have further engagements, both in a personal capacity and as an association. So I implore you all that we should all be very patient. This is one of many. We are also looking at having to bring in experts in the ministry, both within and outside, that will address each unit on its own. So I implore you that we should just be patient. So while I go through the legal mandates that give us powers. I did mention that we are an exclusive ministry, which means that all aspects of labor administration is primarily the responsibility. It doesn't stop other organizations from doing labor administration work as long as it is vetted and verified by the ministry is involved. It gives it a legitimacy when we know what is being done. So we have the National Social Insurance Trust Fund. We have the National Health Insurance Scheme. We have the Wages Board and Industrial Council Act, the ILS, that's International Labour Standards, ILO conventions, recommendations, and protocols. We have the public service rules. This will address public sector disputes or public sector labor administration issues. That is where that factors in circulars and notes. Then we have other subsidiary legislation, regulations, and codes of practice. Now, on decent work, the Ministry of Labour motto or vision is decent work, safety and health in the workplace. So which is all encompassing. A lot of people have the assumption that Ministry of Labour is primarily about inspections or industrial relations or fighting with unions. It's a lot more than that. We are regulators. We actually regulate the activities. Every organization has their independent methodologies as long as they align with the constitutional laws on labor and international labor practice. So decent work, of course, is the productive work for men and women in terms of freedom, equity, social security, and human dignity. It's very broad. We can break that down. We can even have a conversation on decent work itself. So I'm just reading that out so that we have an accurate, at least booked definition of what decent work entails. Social security and human dignity. This asserts that employment should not be merely to provide a livelihood, but to enable individuals to make full use of their skills to contribute to the common well-being. So you see the trajectory with decent work has moved from just getting all your contracts of employment, just ticking all the boxes of your contracts of employment. It is now factoring the human angle. COVID-19 has made it even more imperative or more apparent as to what decent work, and also redefines and expands what decent work is. So there's a lot of emphasis which has been added in the fundamental rights and principles of rights at work to include safety and health, well-being of the person, because you have to be in a sound mind and body to be able to even think about having a proper contract. We are not even going to be having a contract, and we all know that the future of work, which is no longer in the future, is with us, and the workplace can be anywhere now. So it's the dynamics of decent work and labor laws has changed, and this but to enable individuals to make the full use of their skills and to contribute to the common well-being. And this will involve the staffing process, supply chain, production, stakeholder engagement, third-party contracts, contract management, government relations, and legal compliance. If we sum this all up, it speaks to my prior statement that states that workplace is wherever we call it. I am presently holding this session somewhere remote at the facility where I'm holding another session, and I am working, right? So if this kind of things are the simple things that you see that can actually be factored, work can be in a marketplace, work can be in a hospital, in a supermarket, it can be in a bus, it can be work, So even though we are listing them as staffing processes, these are all things that we now need to factor in to ensure that decent work is entrenched. Then what next? There's legal compliance, of course. Those are the labor laws and the mandates. Yes, then fundamental principles. I jumped ahead of my time. So the fundamental principles and rights at work declares international labor declares that all members, even if they have not ratified the conventions, which means that by principle, irrespective of ratification by member countries, should be obliged to apply these fundamental rights. So it's gone beyond just rights as workers to fundamental human rights. And these are the elimination in all forms of forced labor or compulsory labor. We can expand on that. These are all topics that can be standalone topics if we are to address them fully. But these are introductory engagements. Then elimination of child labor in its worst forms, etc., domestic work, freedom of association and recognition of the right to collective bargaining, which can be with an association or a group or an individual basis. Elimination of discrimination in employment and occupation, then right to a safe and healthy working environment. I'd also mentioned that in passing to say, okay, work has now expanded where the well-being and the safety and the health of the human being is just as much a factor as to ensuring contractual agreements, where contractual agreements are made. So the international standards, basically, the international standards and ILO conventions mentioned earlier are being the freedom of association and protection of the rights to organize. That is, people should not be restricted from forming associations. These are just basic fundamentals that don't, but we are having one or two complex issues, but that's the Convention 87, which gives you freedom to associate and protect people from the right to, and also protect those from the right to organize themselves. Then we write the right to organize and collective bargaining convention, which is Convention 98. We have the Forced Labor Convention 29 and the supplementing protocols. We have the Abolition of Forced Labor Convention, Discrimination, Employment and Occupation Convention 111, Equal Remuneration Convention 100, Worst Forms of Child Labor Convention 182, Promotional Framework for Occupational Health and Safety, and the Occupational Health and Safety Convention 155. These are the core conventions that are fundamental because they also address human rights of the workers. And of course, the workers can be housekeepers, housewives, anybody. It's really this. It's an expanded conversation, but these are the legal mandates that guide the operation of the Ministry of Labor. I'm sure in the prior presentations by my colleagues, you have seen that we have different departments, professional and non-professional departments, and how they all sync together. So you can't take one out of the other. It's a lot wider, it's a lot broader than what it is. And yet again, I'm very happy at this opportunity to start up this conversation. Is going to be one of many, and I especially give kudos to Elan for this partnership and being the ones to start. There's no organization more apt to have this kind of engagements. We need these conversations, and I think that should be about all now. I'll take whatever questions you might have. But please remember that it's the first of many series, and questions, most of your questions, put down your questions, and then we can address them now, and then help us to shape subsequent conversations. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Badijo. That was a very enlightening session, which clearly distilled the legal framework that undergirds the work done at the Ministry of Labor and Employment. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Queen. Thank you very much, Kingsley. Right now, we'll just return to the question and answer session. We apologize for being on the call beyond time. I didn't want to end the conversation by 4:30, but we'll try as much as we can to conclude by 5. by $500. So please, do you have any question for Mrs. Badejo? We are unable to take all the questions, but we are willing to take one or two questions now. Please, if you have any question, drop it in the chat box so that our speakers who are waiting to answer them can just click on the question. We're just taking one or two questions. So, in the absence of that, in the absence of questions, we've asked a lot of questions before now. We'll like to call on.
Yeah, a question chat group, sorry.
Pardon me?
Questions on chat room.
Okay. This is from Mr. Madaki. So, Mrs. Badejo, thank you for the presentation. Do you have a unit or department dealing with the formulation and application of international labor standards? Mrs. Badejo, you have a question, ma'am. Are you still here?
I have to step away. What's the question?
The question is, do you have, or does the ministry have a unit or department dealing with the formulation and application of international labor standards?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have the Productivity and Labor Management Department. That's the PMLS department that handles international. Yes, absolutely. Yes, we have a department, and all officers, all professional officers are also able to answer because it's primarily about international ILO standards, because they are the things that they are the things that we implement, right? So there's a full department, a professional department that is run. Yes, they do exist.
That deals with the formulation and application.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, for answering that question. Right about now, we'll be calling on our trustee, Mr. Jamiu Akolade, to give the vote of thanks. Thank you. Mr. Akolade, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamiu Akolade. I'm one of the trustees of the Employment and Labor Lawyers Association of Nigeria, ELAN. I want to thank everyone who has made it to this session today. We know we've left other competing tasks to attend this session. I want to especially thank our colleagues at the Ministry of Labor and Employment. I know how much they've sacrificed both in time and effort to sign up to this collaboration to prepare for this session. You can see even while the session was going on, how busy they have been. Like the director mentioned, this is just the opening session in a series of capacity building programs for lawyers to really let us know the work we do or the ministry does and how we as lawyers can take advantage of that knowledge to both support the ministry and of course our clients. There's going to be more sessions like this, some of them physical, like the director mentioned. There's going to be a workshop and maybe some further open day sessions and so many other things, so that by the time you go through all of that series of events and programs, you should be better positioned to deal with the ministry, leverage on the ministry to do our legal work. So on that note, I would say good evening and thank you to everyone. You can get more information about Elan, what we do, our activities on our website, elan.com.ng. We welcome applications from lawyers for membership. And then on our website, you see all our resources, past webinars, articles, and also a link to apply for membership. Thank you. And of course, I should also thank the moderator too for holding the pen on this, and my colleagues handling or managing this collaboration, Shehu Mustafa, Alicia De Farasin, and all the other speakers from the ministry. Thank you all very much. We do not take your time for granted.
Thank you, Mr. Kolani. And thanks to everyone that has taken time to join this important call, important meeting, important conversation. We thank our guest speakers. We thank the Ministry of Labor. We thank our members, and we thank everyone, lawyers and non-lawyers, that took time to join this important conversation. We'll try as much as we can to get the slides that were presented from the speakers so as to share with our members and others that have requested for it. We thank you very much for joining the call. I think we can call it now. Bye-bye.